Or are there any questions that can be asked to any other presenters, to Nikos, Vasso, Karis?
I have a question for Konstantinos. Very interesting presentation. Actually, I have a couple of questions. The first one is, at some point you mentioned that there are model-based HAZOP techniques. Just for understanding better, the alternative, the non-model based, is what you described using the different wordings, the guide, the guidelines on if something works or doesn't work, right?
Exactly. The alternative is expert. So you have experts who know the system, know how it works, and then they try to imagine different scenarios. HAZOP is, as any risk assessment technique, HAZOP is a specific way that helps you imagine what can go wrong, actually. Yeah. But model-based approaches are very interesting, and they're kind of used towards automating the process. So kind of reducing, the involvement of the expert.
Yeah, and the other question was, you also mentioned that one of the problems of HAZOP is that it's addressing single problems and not interconnected problems. So, like for example, I assume that if there is a malicious attack, like a cyber attack, they will probably try to find like a sensitive entry point so that they can harm a different system. Is that something that can be measured or addressed with HAZOP?
Well, I think so, because what you're referring to is more about the impact of something happening, so that, kind of risk propagates to other parts of the system. I believe that these types of scenarios can be derived through the HAZOP rationale. What HAZOP does not consider, traditionally, let's say, is multiple failures happening at once.
Okay, I see.
So it focuses on one thing at a time.
Not one system at a time, one failure at a time, let's say.
Yeah, okay. That's the traditional way of thinking about HAZOP. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting again. Yeah.
Thank you for the questions.
Jorge, you turned your camera on suspiciously. No, okay.
In the meantime, I may also have a question for Konstantinos. So first of all, thank you for the presentation. It was nice to see also the dependability aspects and how these come into play when talking about autonomy and about cyber-physical systems. So both Warrant and Seamless, they are very important European projects, and you also mentioned Seamless at the start of your presentation. I was wondering whether you see some aspects in which Warrant can benefit from Seamless, from the results of Seamless, or like the work you are doing, how can it benefit from what we are doing in Seamless?
Thank you very much, Nico, for the question. Yeah, I don't have a definite answer, to be honest. But as I said in the beginning of my presentation, okay, since Seamless is also looking at the approval aspects in its fourth work package, and there it's more about STPA. And Warrant, through the concept of dependability, also targets, how safety is assured and how systems are approved. And there's also a string of work in Warrant related to STPA. So I think that it kind of it can naturally flow from one project to another. But I think this is something that we should examine, in more detail. But disseminating the results from Seamless in such a way and using them in such a way in order to be for them to be useful for other projects, for example, Warrant. And there we can have a very, very close relationship because, you know, a lot of the same people are involved in both projects. So we need to ensure that somehow there is continuity.
We will definitely give you a
yeah.
hand in connecting those two projects. Nikos, was that your question?
Yeah, that was it.
Nick, final question.
Yeah, more from a general perspective, from the projects I know in this field, let's say it's always about inland waterways or about maritime, but we never talk about applying it to ferries. And there are in Greece, I guess, more ferries than trains, in a way of speaking. We never talk about applications, the potential applications in pleasure boating or in yachting, which is a huge market, of course, as well. So why don't we talk about, or let's focus on ferries. Why don't we talk about applying it all to ferries? Just an observation. Probably there's no answer to that, but just came to my mind.
If I may comment on this, yeah, I think this is something very interesting. My understanding is that up to this point, you know, all the research going into autonomous ships has not really touched upon, you know, transporting passengers. And maybe because passengers may be a bit jumpy, you know, handing over some of the responsibilities to machines, or that's how I see it. But at some point it will become a possibility, I think. But it's more about, you know, public acceptance at that point. I don't know if we are at that point, but I agree that it is a huge market.
May I add to this conversation? Okay, in the framework of seamless or variant, we do not consider ferries, but I know that our colleagues in Norway, for example, in Trondheim, they have applied to a ferry this, and also I think in Oslo area it is, and it's good to distinguish between the operation of the vessel and, I mean, when we are saying unmanned operation, we are talking the motion of the vessel from serving people. So there are different roles of people on board. So we can still have people for facilitating, let's say, the trip, even the shortest trip on board, but from the operation, the autonomous operation of the vessel. Yeah. Sorry, there is a problem with my camera. That's why you don't see me.
But Vaso, if I may just add to that, I think that the cases in Norway are ferries in very, very limited routes. So very close, I mean, crossing a canal, something like that. And I say that because I guess it's a whole different thing if you are considering large distances.
So sorry, I'm not the expert for this. What do we consider as a ferry? What is a normal trip of a ferry? Could you please explain me, because maybe I misunderstood what we mean. Constantine, please.
I don't think we have much more time. We have 2 minutes past by the schedule, and I see people signing off already. So this we need to move to another webinar as you see there are more to come already planned. The first initial the first one is going to be first one to come is on the 15th of April on the remote operation centers. and the next one on cybersecurity on the 20th of May, which is just an initial date, and it needs to be confirmed. Saying this, I would like to thank all the presenters, Nikos, Vaso, Kraris, and then the Konstantinos. It was super interesting. We will definitely share all the presentations in PDF formats and the recordings all for our for the audience. Thank you so much for being with us here, and you're most welcome on the 15th of April to see Kongsberg's achievements and maybe somebody else's as well, which is going to be a surprise on the 15th of April, 10 o'clock. Stay tuned. Thank you so much.